Welcome back to the major, to IEM Katowice. Myself and Vince going to be taking you through the action. We just saw Cloud9 take out Greyhound Gaming in their first match of this Swiss system in this opening stage. Now we're going to have, and this is a, I don't know what to think of this match. I'm very torn. G2 Esports taking on Vega Squadron. I'm much like you. I've been burned so much by the French teams. But is Vega really going to be able to do this one?
If you look at their recent, it is difficult, right? Because I think these two teams are wildcard teams in this group.
Yeah.
Like, no one really knows what to expect from them. Obviously, G2 have a newer roster, the likes of Jax coming in.
Right.
Whereas Vega recently have been just dropping duds everywhere. They've been really poor. A lot of very bad results for them. So coming into this is a huge question mark.
They've always been fun to watch the major. I've enjoyed them. I've used about every shark GIF that's out there. I think I have none left. Either way, we're going to show you guys the upgraded Swiss results, or the updated, excuse me, not upgraded. You can see some of the matches that have been complete. Cloud9, Renegades, Tai Lu takes out the other French team, Team Vitality. That just ended very, very recently. And Vici with win. Those four teams, and obviously Avantgarde, Fnatic, Greyhound, and Vitality all with a loss. As we look at the four matches left in this first stage. Any surprises outside of, Vici, obviously, which we saw? You surprised by Renegades beating Avantgarde?
No, I actually had them predicted to win that today. Yeah, must be nice.
Must be real nice.
I was surprised to see that Vitality lost, though, I've got to say.
Yeah, I had that one.
Although I kind of... I actually put Tai Lu to get through my pick'ems.
Yeah. But
I thought today Vitality would beat them. But, I mean, it's been a great day for Asian CS, right?
Yeah,
Vici and Tai Lu.
They're finally here.
Yeah.
We knew it would take a bit, and the Asian teams have shown up. Either way, very fun result. Let's get into this a little bit. G2, the other French team, we see Vitality just lost. This has been another French team that has just had disappointing results that does not match the caliber of players on their team.
You got Kenny and Shox.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that, right? But, yeah. They have been the continual disappointment. If you're, I'm a UK CS fan, right? I'm disappointed, but I reckon the French and Belgians have us beat because at least we don't have this kind of talent and still yield nothing from it.
Right. I mean, players that have major trophies, players that have at one point in their career been considered the best players to touch this game. Kenny has had such a disgusting streak of how good he's been. Shox as well. And they just all seem to be underperforming to some degree, and it really makes you scratch your head because I don't know how it happened so quickly. Just all of a sudden it feels like they can't get a whole lot done. Now you flip the coin and you go to Vega, not a whole lot of expectations, whereas G2, I think part of the disappointment around the French teams is that because of the names and the quality of their players, you have much higher expectations. Vega, on the other hand, seems to come into every single major, and everyone is like, this is the major where Vega just gets eliminated. They don't really do much. They always surprise.
Absolutely. I mean, every time I write them off, and every time they prove me wrong. So this time I'm going with them, and knowing my luck, they'll be terrible.
Yep. Probably that's usually how it works. Well, I mean, the most surprising thing about Vega is, remember, they lost Mir, who is one of their better players, at one of the early majors they attended, and they've still just kept on trucking like it's no big issue. Like it's no big thing that they just lost him. So JR, obviously a very exciting player, the AWPer. He's done some very cool things in matches that we've seen. So this Vega Squadron, while kind of, no one's really expecting them to go far, they're capable of some very impressive wins.
Well, just ask Nip.
Yeah, I think they're over that by now, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they will be, especially if they have a chance at redemption in this major, which could happen.
Speaking of Nip, the map that Vega Squadron eliminated them from the Atlanta major on so long ago was Cash. They beat them 16-1, I believe it was, something crazy like that. Well, it's Cash again, this time against G2, and G2 is going to get that CT side first. Although on Cash, I'm not sure if that's necessarily the stronger side.
Again, with this roster, G2's roster is relatively new as well.
Yeah.
So coming into this, there is definitely going to be a question mark from, I would say, Vega. How do we counter-extract these guys? How do we check all their demos and these sorts of things? But one thing's for sure, if G2 don't have Shox and Kenny performing, I really do fear the worst for this team.
Yeah. I don't even necessarily think that Vega is a team that is going to worry so much about anti-stratting and looking through demos. I think Vega is the kind of team that just says, you know what, we're going to play our own game and we're just going to try and run you over.
Definitely fair. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Either way, I don't know what to call would be an upset, who the favorite team is. I guess you kind of have to lean towards G2 and say they're the favorite team, but it really doesn't feel, it feels more like a 50-50. It feels a little bit like a toss-up in this match.
Yeah, which is why I think this match might actually be one of the best of today.
Okay.
It may not be like the sexiest or silkiest of CS, but
Right.
I think it'd be quite a close one, a lot of very close rounds, because of how evenly matched these teams actually are. I completely agree. This is a very hard one for me to call, but I'd probably just edge with Vega.
Who do you have in the pick'ems?
I've actually got Vega 3-0. They were my wild cards, like crazy picks. I wanted the guaranteed points. So from that perspective, I'm hoping Vega do get the.
And predictions, you have Vega winning as well?
Yes, I think I went with Vega. That's right. So let's see. It's been a strange old day for predictions, though, hasn't it?
It has. Well, it started off weird. We haven't gotten too deep into it, but it definitely started out with a little bit of craziness. I've just been burned way too much by G2 in the past.
Oh, same. in the last major, I think I went 3-0 for them. Again, similar idea, wild card, and they just completely bombed out. So after that, I was like, nah, I'm done.
You're like, I'm out.
I'm washing my
this
hands.
This time, yeah. Well, it will be fun to see exactly what's going to break out, especially on a map like Cash, because I know this is one of those maps where, like, I feel like teams really do not like playing Cash all that much. There's still a lot of team out there that I think you can pick and say, this is the best team in the world on Cash.
Yeah, I think it's quite rare to get a best of one go down to Cash as well for that reason. It's typically going to be like Mirage, Inferno, Overpass, these sorts of maps.
Yeah, CT side is super uncomfortable on this map. Sure. It's very, very difficult to be able to rotate in the correct position. Mid is so tough to hold at this level.
But I think front and center, you highlighted it before, JR against Kenny S could be a tantalizing prospect on this map. I'm curious to see how Kenny S is actually going to approach this.
It feels weird to say that because Kenny is just we all know him as such a dominant AWPer, but it's not that way in recent times. Like, you know, a year ago, you would probably never ever say that JR was going to outduel Kenny S. So that will certainly be an interesting battle, especially a map like Cash where if the defense gets rotated out of position, if you have an AWPer in the right spot, he can pick people off for free. I mean, you can put him in a great position to be very effective, very impactful.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of playing CT side of Cash is the AWP is actually viable in any part of the map. You can have one B peeking through, on A around the quad area, or mid, of course. Double AWPs are completely viable and fine. But here's another thing where when it comes to Cash, with the addition of the AUG being a lot more viable, the AUG has a lot of presence now on this map too, because there's a lot of longer range sort of skirmishes that you're going to see played. So some players that typically wouldn't have started to challenge now will with the AUG.
What I think I'm going to be looking for out of both of these teams to see who is more prepared coming into this is going to be the teams that can execute some kind of aggression on the CT side. That seems to be, to me, to be like it's kind of like who's proactive, which team is communicating and coming up with ideas and trying to make something happen, or are they just sitting back into the bomb sites, letting the T sides execute and take map control? If you don't get aggressive at some point on CT side, it's really, really difficult to have solid defensive halves on this map.
That's wild as well, to see that G2 are ranked 19th with plays like Kenny and Shox. Absolutely not. Just goes to show how far they've fallen.
Yes, they have fallen quite a bit from their glory days. Still favored, as you can see, to win this match against Vega, but that doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Vega, each and every major, have provided excitement, have provided some surprise victories, some upsets. We'll see if they can continue that streak here in Katowice.
Well, if they're going to do so, it's going to have to come off the back of starting on the T side with Crush, Smoke, and Flash in hand with a P250. So he's gone for the full investment for his side. Shox in the meanwhile is being forced back. Triple stack in mid from the Vega Squadron. And this does actually leave Kenny very isolated on quad, all by his lonesome.
Yeah, I mean, look how easy it is to just take mid control, especially on the pistol round. You apply just a little bit of pressure, and Shox doesn't want to commit to that fight. A long way for him to fall back, and JR's so close. There's the shadow showing. One tap from Shox, and now the offense, it's not finding any success. Kenny in the bomb site. Oh, he's answering our questions now. We doubted him. But what an impressive start. Shox and Kenny S, those were the two names we discussed, and here they are.
That, for me, is the most impressive thing I've seen all day. Yes, the Zelsis clutch was absolutely sick, but those flicks, the manner in which he dismantled in split seconds. Oh my goodness, Kenny, welcome to the major. He's been here a few times, of course, but...
He's got a couple trophies. He's got some hardware to show off.
Ooh,
winners
great
of...
boss, though.
Who is it?
JR.
Oh, yeah. Here he comes through the smoke, why not? Doubled up on Highway, good kill, he's dinked though. And he's the only one with head armor or armor at all. So, I mean, pick your poison on it if you want him to keep it or you want to drop it off to an unarmored player, but that AK at least has provided them an opening, and there it is. There's the trade out to Chopper. Chopper as well, by the way, another player we didn't really touch on a whole lot, who has been phenomenal for this team. His rifling and his aggressive play is so much fun to watch.
It always felt like he was overshadowed when Mir was around, but now that Mir's no longer here, Chopper is one of the main guys. He's like the talisman. Meanwhile, FAMAS, not going to happen. Speak of the devil, Chopper comes in, body flicking across to the airborne crush. This is where the lack of armor is going to be his sting, and body, he's just going to spray them all down one by one.
I was going to say, just that armor against that SMG, there's just no joy there for Chopper with that AK-47. Still a great job by Body. Another kill that he's adding on to it. That's 4 for him total in the round. And it's just JR left flanking this B bomb site, but they're pretty far away. 2 kills isn't bad, but I think Vega wanted a bit more out of that investment. We'll see if JR can add anything to it. Low HP, even though he does have armor, it's not going to matter a whole lot. There's Lucky. The shoulder peek into a commit. It's 2-0.
Body with money in the bank. Accountant will be very happy, 6.4k. Meanwhile, just because it was the one AK-47, and they did get a couple kills out the round, it's going to be straight back in. And interestingly, we're going to see our first SG of the Major, at least on this stream. And it's going to be Tony Black that picks it up.
JR has another AK dropped over to him. Or maybe, yeah, he might have been dropped last round and bought this round. Either way, that play is not going to work twice. That's too easy for Shocks.
I was going to say, very much telegraphed. It's the exact same play did in the round prior. They're obviously going to be checking that out. There's no reason not to. Surprisingly, Chopper is the player that takes a step back and just has a P250.
Tough part as well is that AK, you can't salvage it. You can't run out mid and pick. Well, you can because G2 isn't there, but Vega can't possibly know that. We have the information that they don't.
Exactly. It's far too risky to run out and try and pick up that AK knowing there could be 2 players looking in the exact same position, and you throw away the round after finally getting a full buy.
Now, if you do this, if you boost Tony Black up, he's got that angle towards the mid connector, can smoke it off, can allow some safety for Chopper, and actually he misses that smoke. So, starts out a little sketchy for Vega. Plenty of time to get back into the swing of things as Kenny tries to drop down off the rafters quietly.
Three players over on the A side, completely giving up mid control. At some point, that's going to be in the back of their minds. I think they're just starting to realize that mid is potentially an issue. Kenny S with his AK picks up his 5th kill of the game. 4, of course, coming in the pistol, but he has been silenced. He's been squashed, and this is allowing Vega to make inroads through the highway side. Lucky, close range with the MP9. No longer going to have an armorless squad against him, but still able to get 2. And Hudgy, with 8 seconds left, going to go for the plant, but gets denied, courtesy of the HE thrown out from Lucky.
What a great hold from G2. And that smoke down in the main choke point of the bomb site allows the SMG to do some work. Chopper could not find that final entry into the A bomb site. 3-0 for G2. They've started out very, very well from the pistol round where Kenny S was incredible. And then Body in the second round saves the day against that 4-spot AK-47, that hero AK. And here we go, Og's out. Plenty of money on the CT side as well, and it's a half purchase for Vega.
I just put a couple of them quite low on funds. $950 for Tony Black and JR.
That is a bit low, but they'll have a 4-round losing bonus if they can't turn this in their favor. It looks like they're just going to line up for a full-blown execute onto this A bomb site. I mean, what they're lacking in weaponry, they have in utility.
And of course, if they do get that plant down plus the round loss bonus, they should be okay still. Nade going to chip away some health from Hutji, but he's okay. Here come the nades. Molotov thrown into Squeaky. Unbeknownst to Lucky, though, no one's home. He's being funneled away from the site, leaving it up to Kenny with his AUG, and he's going to get drilled instantly by Crush. There's another 1D courtesy of Tony Black. Delivered first class to Lucky. And now Chopper can watch the flank. Shox is walking straight into his crosshair. It's all deagles all day for Vega Squadron. And in this post-plant, Body and Jax really don't have a hope. I think in the back of their minds, they may be thinking about pulling back and saving these guns.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. Too many angles to clear out. You do have a kit, but you just don't have the utility to make it work, and obviously it's a big risk. Jax will be able to drop a weapon over to a teammate, which they'll sorely need. That money is pretty solid for the CT side, but it's not great, and actually, that's kind of a disaster. That's one of those calls where it's like we've called the save, but you're not committing to the save. For whatever reason, you want to grab that one last kill. That's going to hurt what they can bring into the next round if they want to fight for it. First round on the board for Vega Squadron.
Yeah, it's almost death by indecision, and it doesn't make any sense. You've purposely pulled Body back there to save the AUG, and you want to save the assault rifle next to it. Die for no reason at all. Even a 1-for-1 trade wouldn't have been worth it at that stage. Yep. So it's a bit of a head-scratcher, but Vega Squadron now have the upper hand in terms of this round. G2 will not be forcing. They hold off. They will have a very solid buy in the next round, including AWPs if they so choose.
Body alone holding mid. Perhaps trying to just get one kill if they take control and fall back and reposition the soul weapon. Chopper's already being pretty aggressive towards this B bomb site, and he hears the deagle ring out from Jax. And that little bit of pressure causes a rotation from G2. Now Body and Shox. Body with the AUG is joining Jax over to defend the B bomb site, but Vega's still spread across the map. This is still a default. They have not committed anywhere.
Yep, slow and steady.
Ooh, there's the AUG. JR just double tap Body away. He's going to go for more. He spots Shox over towards Checkers. This is a fight he might not want to take for much longer. There's the peek and there's the win. Of course, JR is going to go for the fight. Now it's Jack's turn to keep recycling that AUG, but he's going to be pressured from Vet. Good awareness. Quick flick up to Hutchie. A bomb site being pressured. Lucky's made footsteps. They know he's close to A main. They have the intel. Rotation's coming over for G2, but I don't think it's going to be in time. And actually, Kenny S just gets there with the USP. A chance still for G2.
Jack still has the AUG. Now Kenny's picked one up too. We saw him have it earlier. We know he's comfortable with the gun. Only 7 bullets left, but that's enough to stop the bomb from being planted. Still 20 seconds, though, to salvage it. Try and fake Jax out into the open. The downside here is Vega are playing with their food to an extent. And there we have it. Timing will be Jack's worst enemy. And Vega claw it back to 3-2.
I like that decision between Tony Black and Crush. Fake the plant, and then you work your way into a position where you can double peek. So not leaving anything to chance, not just taking an individual battle. If that SMG were to go down there on highway, the other player would be able to swing wide and get that trade along the wall. Jack's even considering his flank for the moment. But back to the rifles for G2. Up 1 round. They're flush with cash and ready to fight again. This map often, it's one of the rare maps we have in the map pool that feels like more often than not it's T-sided. Like you should be able to get more rounds on offense than you would on defense.
And I remember back to when Threat took over as the coach for NIP, that's when the pendulum seemed to change on this map. With his style of playing a lot more passive sort of anti-eco rounds, allowing the CTs to come to you, as Vega were doing in that previous round that we saw.
This is a very weird misread of the economy for Vega. I'm not sure why JR bought up the MAC-10, but he tries to entry with it onto the A bomb site and meets Kenny S with the AUG. There's just not a whole lot of success to be had between those two weapons in a mid-range fight. Molotov's out towards the B bomb site, towards Checkers, force someone out into the open, but no one is playing behind the box. Body overextended and wants to get back, and he just makes it in time.
Smoking for the cross onto Checkers. This does funnel Vega into a more claustrophobic angle, though, which is why the other 2 players, one of which has the bomb, which is Tony Black, pull back towards mid. So it seems like a bit of utility maybe thrown into the wind there from Vega.
This defense feels like it's overextended itself. Body aggressive towards B. Shox pushed up very far at A main. Kenny now just joining him. But the attack is coming up highway where there's no eyes on it. So when they come into this bomb site, there is a very awkward crossfire set up between Lucky and Kenny S. We'll see what works. Great flashbang, though. Kenny stuck on the rafters. He's now all alone. There's no one to help him. They know exactly where he is, and there's way too many angles to check.
And that flash hit both of them at the same time. completely destroying their A defense. And with 11 seconds to go, Vega Squadron get the bomb planted. And G2 in familiar territory, looking for a save. Gonna find Chopper in the back, will body. But at this point, the chances of clutching are slim to none. Yes, they're going to get JR, who was already weakened by Kenny S's hands, but they're way too far away from getting this bomb defused. So they're just going to save, going to dig in deep, try and hold on to these two M4s. There's plenty of equipment value at stake.
And yeah, there's not enough cash on the Vega Squadron side to go hunting for these weapons. You can't gain anything, you'll just lose so much. But regardless, a pretty odd round if you're G2, because you have to imagine with the kind of aggressive plays they had on both sides of the map, you had to feel like they thought that they were in the perfect position, that they knew everything that was happening on the map, and just right at the end just kind of got stuck overextended. That weird timing where all their aggression was just so isolated that they couldn't do anything to work together.
And that's a round, if they go back and watch, they're going to be bitterly disappointed by it, because it actually started really well for G2. The early skirmishes went their way.
Yep.
Vega threw a couple of smokes that didn't really amount to anything. As you say, G2 just got a bit too antsy, a bit too aggressive, and it cost them. And to make matters worse in this round, it's just going to be the two saved M4s. They're not going to force behind it, leaving 3 players on just pistols.
Well, this is kind of cool. Information, but not for long. Good elimination from JR. Body is found on the other side of the map as well. Up on boost, you can see the ragdoll leaning against the wall. So again, G2 with his aggression, they at least have some information. The question is, what can they do with it? The last time they were able to get this aggressive and have these positions and gather this kind of information, they weren't able to actually figure out where the hit was coming from. And Vega looks like they're going to reconvene and just attack this bomb site very aggressively, very convincingly before the rotations can come back.
Jack's going to smoke himself off just to be a nuisance, to keep their eyes over to the backside, because he knows he's got a second player with the M4 up in heaven. So the crossfire could get a bit dicey, but Kenny S is that aforementioned player. He's been dealt with. But Jax is going to go to task. I think he landed a headshot onto Chopper. Gets the assist for it, but the damage has already been done. It's all on shocks. He doesn't have Kevlar either, so aim punch is going to be a very real problem for him to deal with. But he's going to be moving in slowly but surely. And he's caught in the back from Tony Black, and that is going to be Vega. They were 3-0 down at one stage, 4 rounds on the bounce. Take the lead for the first time.
Pretty close round considering G2 only brought the 2 rifles into it.
Not bad at all, yeah. They did quite a bit of damage there, but at the same time, the tactical timeout has been called, because as you can see there in the center of your screen, that's 4 rounds back-to-back that they have conceded. Even though they've got Kenny S, who's teeing off with 105 ADR, body not too far behind him.
It helps from the pistol round. He got 400 damage.
That is true. That is very true.
That'll increase your average. A little bit of a pep talk from the coach in this timeout. High fives all around. Here we go, boys. 4-3 in the favor of Vega. Op out on Kenny's hands. Finally. I think we all wanted to see that.
What does JL have on this? Okay, it's an AK, so not necessarily too interested in taking the AWP. I feel like Cash isn't necessarily a map that you have to AWP on the T side. A bit reminiscent to Inferno in that way.
Oh, look at Lucky. He's going to have a tough time. They need to smoke off that flames. Actually, no, they don't. I take it all back. Tony Black's just amazing. Immediate headshot, and Kenny can do nothing.
That'll do it. Running headshot's always a good thing. There's a nade, though, with Tony Black's name on it.
I take that back as well. Kenny can get a kill with the nade. It's not gone well, has it?
Hasn't gone particularly well for G2 either, because they're in another post plant. There's plenty of Molotovs being tossed out. Still 2 more on the utility belt, the Vega Squadron, and a HE to boot. There's only 1 kit, and that's in the hands of Jax. There's no nades or incendiaries left either. It's going to be very hard to lock these angles off. Flashbang in the eyes of Body, couldn't see a single thing. And that is G2 getting the hell out of there and saving.
I was amazed they were even going for it in that 4-on-4 scenario. But yeah, once you lose your highway player and you only have 1 point of attack, it's just not worth the risk to your weapons. That round is what makes Cash so difficult for the CT side, because we've watched Vega win 4 rounds in a row playing pretty slow, pretty calculated, letting the clock run down, and then this time they just bust out a rush towards that A bomb site, and you could see G2 was lined up. They were positioned to keep mid control. They had one defender at the A bomb site. He just gets overrun so quickly. And another timeout coming in. I think this time it's Vega? It is. It is Vega.
Just going to let them stew on it a little bit. As you say, though, having that unpredictability with, okay, we play quite slow, now we're going to rush you.
Yeah.
It keeps G2 on their tiptoes. Now they're not sure what to think. It could actually force some utility out from them as well early on in the round, smoke some Molotovs.
Well, you know, it really pisses you off if you're lucky on G2. You're like, I even threw a Molotov in the choke point, and you stood in the fire, and you shot me in the face.
Yeah, that is triggering. Definitely.
Like, you usually only see that at, like, 3 a.m. pugs.
But that's Vega Squadron in a nutshell. This is why at Majors they dethrone so many teams, because you don't expect these kind of plays.
I know.
And they still have a lot of skill on the team.
It's so much fun to watch. It sucks so much when it happens to you.
Yeah. So now going back to a slower style. 3 players posturing outside of B. Bomb dropped in garage. Easy for Vega to pick it up anytime they so choose. It's on the wrong side of the red container from G2's perspective. Now the Molotovs gonna force body away from Checkers. Had a great start to Cash, but it slowed down somewhat for him after that MP9 round. And still, there's no bomb in their hands, so they are just feeling out as much of Checkers and as B as possible. A flashbang onto Shocks. Runs out into the embracing arms of Crush. There's more Molotovs being tossed out. That did a crazy amount of damage to Crush and Chopper. About 100 health between the two of them. And Kenny S lands the wall bang onto Chopper, looking for more here, and not too far off.
They need to get scared away from this B bomb site, although Crush gets one more. That's on body, but they have no idea. Jax is here, shoulder peeks to try and figure it out, and yeah, Crush just needs to live. The rest of his teammates are going to attack the other site, and that's it. That's the final kill. Now they have to go, but Lucky's close up. That AUG is ringing true, not able to get a second. But Kenny's got the angle with the AWP, and actually Hutchie's planning in the open, but JR's got it. Swings out wide at Forklift, and Kenny's overextended. 1-on-2 for Jax.
One of those situations. Maybe Kenny should have just waited a little bit more. Wasn't far off finding the bomb planter, though. Jack's making so much noise. Vega are going to know exactly where he is. Now JR can help his teammate out, but the insta-headshot onto Hudgy. Downside for Jax is he doesn't have a smoke and the bomb's planted in the open, and JR will not miss his chance.
That's a really tough one to swallow if you're G2. Vega making some very good calls down the stretch, though. So much pressure applied to that B bomb site. That flashbang that Shocks got blinded by, that was a team flash. That was designed to go in towards Checkers, allow Shocks to drop down, potentially blind one of the terrorists so that he can get a free kill and establish his position there. And they just missed the timing. Shocks, it almost felt like he committed to that after he got blind, but either way, by the time he's falling down, he's completely blind. He's got no chance in that fight.
I wonder if from his perspective he thought it was a T-flash into a Molotov in the vents, you know, as you do from the boost. And he kind of assumed that he was burning. That's the only thing I can think of, because he pushed out while fully flashbanged it, which is the easiest of kills for Chopper.
Oh, yeah.
So that's gone from 3-0 for G2, winning the pistol and converting the subsequent 2 rounds, to 6 rounds in a row for Vega Squadron. They are battering G2 at this stage.
And Kenny with that AWP, I mean, the first round he had it is when they did that very fast hit towards the A bomb set and he was smoked off. So he had a nade kill and he had 1 op kill when the round was already over. And then in that previous round he had an op kill through the wall. So he really hasn't even gotten a chance until just now. Towards mid he finds Crush. So now his kills can have some big impact. Body up top with the AUG. Gonna get pre-fired by Chopper, but not committing to the fight. All 4 players for Vega here. This is gonna end up here at the B bomb site.
It's certainly looking like it, especially as Crush died in Garage. They don't really have a 2-pronged attack. It has to be way more one-dimensional. And G2, because their economy is in such a tight shape and they don't have that many grenades, they can't even afford to send a player to rotate round the back of Vega and look for information here.
I love that play from Kenny. Oh, he gets picked off by JR, though. Nice shot. But finding the opening pick in mid and then rotating over towards the B bomb site. Not only that, but hunting down the frags. Getting aggressive in Checkers. Now, I would imagine Tony Black is calling for his teammates to just chill and slow down. They didn't listen, if that's the case. Because he had such a good position in mid. He could have chosen to apply pressure towards A. He could have tried to flank by going through connector. But those opportunities were squandered. Hutji, the last one left in a 1 versus 4. The name of the game now is just do damage to the defense.
And G2 absolutely don't want to lose any more plays. They can salvage the AWP that was dropped from Kenny. 1 player loss is absolutely fine. Well played by Kenny. Good to see him shining and taking aggressive angles, taking the fight to Vega. That's where he's at his best.
Yes. That's what I was talking about before this game started, about how proactive these teams are going to be on the CT side. And you like to see Kenny S with that kind of mobility and that kind of assertiveness in his angles. 4-6 still in the favor of Vega.
JR maintaining the AWP, down to $50 though. Oh, shots drilled in midair. I think there was a flashbang tossed in as well.
It was, yes. He got there quick though, JR. I'm not even sure if he needed the flash. He was there so fast.
Yeah, I think Shox was dead anyway, flashed or not. Solid flick shot. Now Jax is going to take control of Vent, gets boosted up.
That's a tough angle for Crush. Same with JR close up. I've got to be wary of these Vents. There's, oh, a nice flashbang in mid. That's beautiful teamwork. G2 respond with some great flashes and utility of their own.
Particularly sick was a priority. He saw the AWP just around the corner of Vent, prioritized the player with the automatic weapon, shifted across to the AWP, and now G2 go from strength to strength. They're looking like they're going to pull this back to a 1-round deficit. Chopper can't do anything about it. And the good news for G2 as well is Shox hasn't really had too much of a role to play in this map, and they're still very close. I mean, he's 3-8. You don't say that too often of Shox.
Well, recently maybe. Yes, but Kenny's having a good game, 13-7. Body as well has stepped up a couple times, 10-4 for him. On the other side of things, JR is 11-9. Closer to evening things out, and actually a great chance for G2 to tie things up at 6-6. As it's just pistols, nobody with armor on the Vega side. A little bit of utility, 3 smokes to be exact for the attack, and looks like they just want to try and get into this A bomb site. Now they did win a Deagle round earlier in this map, so this is not outside of the realm of possibility.
It was an identical play. It was a set play onto A and then just an all-out rush.
Did they just hear a footstep?
I believe they may have.
Yeah, well, either way, they know Shox is there now. He just peeks out wide, gives away his position. I'm not sure if Lucky spotted one in the booster, if he just doesn't want to challenge. Now, certainly, he saw that.
I think he was caught in 2 minds as to whether it would be a second player peeking from Garage. He's going to be able to maintain his position anyway in connector. And Vega, losing Tony Black and JR, have been thinned well and truly. Crush is going to pick up the Deagle. And once this smoke is cleared, you can see Vega just make a beeline for it and try and get some kills. They're not going to be allowed that chance, though. And they're going to be dealt with before they can even get into their stride. And Shox with 3 in the round is going to tie G2 up 6-6.
Let's see what Vega can respond with. It's been a while since they flipped the switch on their pacing and did a very aggressive, fast strategy. Against a double op setup might not be the worst thing, especially if you can get into a bomb site and force them into a retake scenario. Those ops very unwieldy retaking bomb sites on this map. Here we go, all 5 players towards A. This could be convincing, although this time they're not throwing out those early smokes to block off vision from the truck. Lining up for a more standard hit. No one playing inside the bomb site either, so with Lucky there with an AWP, you do not want him rotating into the bomb site with the AWP, but he'll have a chance to pick one off as they enter. Looks down, there it is, there's the frag. Smoke comes out late on top of red box. Some spam through the smoke from Body, but a nice trade from Tony Black, but still, they have to get that bomb off the ground. They have to get it planted quickly.
Absolutely, try and draw out as many of those grenades as possible. That's a solid Molotov. It does stall them a little bit longer. And now the smokes are starting to clear. This is starting to get out of control for Vega Squadron. They only have 1 smoke to play with. This is why Tony Black is going so aggressive. But in doing so, it leaves Chopper vulnerable. Another Molotov. toss to the back of the site. Tony Black will be able to plant this one safely. Well, a flashbang comes over. It's going to take some heroics from Crush or Tony Black, and there's the first. Crush into the forehead of Shocks. That flashbang actually destroying himself from Crush's perspective. Now Tony Black still watching the tight angle. His teammate gets smoked off, but Crush still comes out swinging. Lands himself the frag onto Kenny. It's down to Jax. He's been playing very well so far for G2, and he can actually defuse around the corner. Crush is going to have to go in for this one. He does have a kit, just about gets there in time. And Vega regained the lead by the skin of their teeth.
That is a great hold from Crush. He wanted to peek so bad with that flashbang, but he did blind himself. He had the exact peek he wanted because Kenny was out of the fight from that flashbang as well. But still, smoked off in A main, able to clutch that one out. A heroic performance. Vega keeps that lead, 7-6. What a tough, scrappy, grinded out battle into that A bomb site. Here's that flashbang over mid, just as they're about to peek, and it's going to blind both of them, actually, and Shocks can't recover in time. Neither can Body. That is a decimating attack.
This is why I love watching Vega Squadron. They are so ruthless in their aggression.
Simple but effective, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just good meat and potatoes. Straight in there. You can't do it wrong.
Of course, from a Britishman.
Yeah. That being said, G2. 2 players down. Make it 1. Kenny S is going to land the touchdown onto Crush. And not for the first time, Vega posturing outside of B. They have some nades coming in. Going to be looking to execute any second now. Jack's going to take the initiative, try and find himself some frags. Chopper's been spotted. Wall bang to his demise in the head, but JR and Hutchie straight away will return fire.
These Vega flashbangs are so good. I would love to see the flash stats when this game is all said and done, because it feels like every time Vega's attacking a bomb site, they have at least one flashbang that just decimates somebody in a perfect position. JR with the peek. Didn't have any smokes, no utility. Good idea, have the op take the fight. 8-6 now. Vega going to end with at least a 1-round lead. We'll see if G2 can close it. Tactical timeout for Vega being called. Plenty of, a couple players have very nice money on the CT side, not so much overall.
Yeah, Kenny and Shocks are struggling. Turmoil financially. But it could, well, I was going to say he could drop an AWP, but it wouldn't really be worth it.
Or would it?
But he's actually just going to go ahead and do it. It means he's got no nades, but he's got full confidence.
No, if you have Kenny at 16-9, you drop him that AWP. Kenny's had a pretty solid half so far overall. The AWP at times has been negated, but he's obviously in a pretty good place to have a good performance.
Jax, for me, has been very impressive as well. He's been almost omnipresent, constantly playing around checkers, then he's on A, doing solid work, and he typically gets 2 or 3 kills, goes on these sprees. But it's all down to this, the final round of the half. Can G2 close the gap, or will Vega have a comfortable lead? There's not many nades to distinguish between G2 and a round loss, and Body, to make matters worse, has been obliterated in checkers.
That's a great tag. Great angle to take through that smoke. Kenny and Lucky to defend this A bomb site. Shocks in mid for the moment, but we've seen it in the past in this half. Shocks, when he gets the information, he falls back pretty quickly. Jax is playing with fire, jumping across like that. At one point, it's not quite going to work, but I'm wondering if it's not a little bit of a bait to make you think that he's the only one there.
Definitely could be the case, and now they've heard the UMP bullets being sprayed as he hops across. And is this where the trap is sprung? Well, maybe not, because Vega are going to A anyway. So all of this flirtation has been for nothing.
If they can pull off this split out of nowhere, that'd be great. Chopper and Crush coming out mid, attacking up highway. You could see Shocks rotating over, but with the UMP, there's nothing he can do to watch mid. This defense is actually so susceptible. Kenny has no idea it's coming in. He's gonna get taken out for free. He somehow gets a shot off, and it almost landed. UMP, but Shocks cannot handle any more than that. Lucky hasn't even been able to get involved in the action. He's gonna double him up though. They go for the plant way too early. Lucky's giving him a chance. It's a 1-on-2 for Body.
That's unbelievable. They try and force the plant down and get in each other's way. It could be the determining factor. Body now is going to get caught though on the cross by Crush, and 9-6 will be the halftime score to Vega Squadron.
It will indeed. A very exciting half, actually. We've seen some good stuff from both teams. We'll see who continues it best in the second half. Stay tuned for the finish.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Vodafone, Acer Predator, Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, HyperX, Bedway, and Pay Safeguard.
G2 trying to redeem their French comrades of Vitality, who dropped a match earlier, and G2 down 3 rounds, 6-9 at halftime. Not looking their best, but not a bad half overall on the CT side.
Not too bad, but you have to consider that half of their rounds were off the back of the pistol round.
True.
So Vega really turned it round hard.
Well, when you put it like that. Now, this is interesting. We don't see often a team pistol round like this. 3 players with utility on the G2 side of things. That's going to make them very susceptible to aim punch to these USPs. And there's a pretty decent stack here. 2 players committed, and this needs to be a win, but it's not. Tony Black can't handle it. Oh, and Body's got both entries. Solid job.
Excellent entries, but now can Vega muster a response? Chopper, the player with the kit and smoke, has already been tagged down to 37, and Crush is begging for a repeat from Lucky. See if he can try and even the odds, or at least going partial way there. Lucky also wants to just shoulder peek and have a quick look and try and find information because Shox is on the prowl. He's making a move up highway. He is waiting, anticipating a player to be around the corner. Finds Crush, going to be going in for a second. Down goes Chopper, and this round surely will follow. JR has been given the chance at least to avenge his fallen comrades, but instead G2 will pick up both pistols.
Both pistols and still a couple rounds behind, but that's a great start for the second half. When you have a round like that where 3 players buy utility, you're going for a tactical win, and when it works, it looks so good. I mean, that third smoke they have to just lock out the retake of that bomb site, that just makes it so tough to handle. Nicely done from G2. Rifles picked up, 2 MAC-10s on Shox and Jax to be the scouts, and Vega's going for a full save. No deagles, no utility, just waiting for their chance to get the rifles.
Can certainly respect that. I think a lot of it is down to them being 2 rounds in the lead. They're okay with it getting tied up. Best to wait until you have a full purchase then roll the dice on some Deagles and P250s. Does mean, though, that their future is looking bleak short term in round 17. They are stacking connector with 3 players, very centralized actually, very passive. Hoping that a player overextends. That could be Shocks down to 7 and then no health. Body in the meanwhile, spraying into connector. He's going to get 3 of his own, but 2 kills from Vega with full USPs is really not too bad.
Especially, I don't think they had time to go salvage that AK-47 in mid. Those shoulder peaks on body were just so annoying. It was like little gnats. Couldn't get him away. They did grab that AK-47, so someone did get there just in time to pick that up.
5 orcs. This is something I'm thinking we're going to see quite a few times in this major. People are like, how prevalent will the orc be? There's your answer. It's 5 of them.
Yeah. Moving along swiftly. 9-8, Vega with a very narrow lead. We'll see how the orcs do in this round. Body's already got control very quickly. The confidence to take that angle so fast because he knows they won't have an op. Or I should say he assumes they won't have the op. They had the money for it if they wanted to go that route.
The thing is, though, with Vega going for this all-out org play, a lot of firepower, it does leave them quite bare in terms of grenades, and they have no defuse kits either. So if G2 can bridge the gap and get up close and personal, this could backfire on the Vega squadron.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, obviously it's a risk they're willing to take, right? And you can see, I mean, even towards that A bomb site, 2 players stacked up in the corner. They just wanted to hold the angle and use the scope of those odds to find some free kills before the bomb site is lost. Mid control is in the favor of G2 as Body works his way out. He can now peer up highway and pressure these players. It's JR who's far back towards CT spawn, just watching for anyone to try and come in towards connector. That leaves his teammates in a really rough spot. Especially Hutchie, who's playing at forklift.
Oh, speaking of which, he goes out looking one too many times. He gets punished. Tony Black flash into Molotov, going to use his smoke just to keep himself alive for a little while longer. And JR, he is going to be gift wrapped that kill. Nearly got a double. Tony Black comes in for that second one. They just run in a straight line. 20 seconds left. And G2 need to go and salvage this bomb, which is in a horrible spot. Lucky's going to alleviate the pressure before he gets plucked out, and more damage is inflicted to Shocks as he tries to cross. 8 seconds to go. Bomb does get planted, but now it's a 1-on-2. Albeit with Vega, both players very low HP. Jax, tailor-made in right position to clutch this one in the post-plant situation. They don't have a kit, as I mentioned earlier, and they don't have grenades. This actually should be Jax's round.
That reposition is so sick for forklift. Yeah, this is exactly, it should be. I don't think he realizes one's in the site, but without the kit, I don't know if this is even possible. Goes for the peek, he needs the kill immediately, he's got it. Oh, I think JR just pulled one out of the hat. He's gonna have this. JR's gonna get it, and what an incredible victory for Vega Squadron. That's about as close as you'd like.
Oh my God.
But it's okay for G2. I think there's still, obviously you want to win that round, but they're still fine with it. Comes down to one player. That investment into 5 AUGs left them with no money. So one player surviving, it's the easiest situation to reset, and that can be brutal for Vega. If they cannot win this round, G2 is in prime position to really grab control of this map down the stretch.
That's a very good point, and that's what they've got to focus on. Yes, it's disappointing they didn't win the round, but there's a huge prize ahead of them. Was that Molotov too high? I don't think it landed on boost, did it?
I don't believe so.
That's quite the whiff. I don't think they get punished for it, though. No player went up on boost, but now they're starting to funnel out of garage.
Oh, no.
JR's going to be bitterly disappointed he didn't get that kill. He did land the headshot. Body's down to just 4. That's not good enough, especially with what's at stake that we just highlighted. It's
a good response, though, from Hutchie. Aggression in towards A main might slow things down if G2 wants to rotate back into that position. They have mid-control. They need to figure out where they want to attack, though, because if it's A, they need someone to come back with the bomb to take control of those A holes, especially knowing the aggression is there. They need someone to buddy up with the bomb or all 4 out mid. Looks like a B split is the answer. Slowly, Vega is realizing the defense there is weak. Rotating Crush over.
They did make some unnecessary noise while trying to get into vents, but I don't think anyone was close enough to hear it for Vega. Or they still have 3 players here waiting. The smoke doesn't land in the CT side near tree. So there is a gap there, which G2 know, and this is stalling them.
Yeah, that was thrown. That was actually thrown by Vega. I think that was so Crush could get a new angle, but the misread. Oh, this is going to be so hard for them to handle. Chopper, everything to do. He's got the first. He needs to build upon that, but Kenny S crouches under the bullets, and I think Vega need to save this. I don't know if they can get here in time. There is a kit on Crush. They can go for it. But there's plenty of time for G2 to get in perfect positions.
Yeah, and it's the lack of utility as well. Only 1 HE. They'd love to have a Molotov, a smoke, try and cordon off one of these areas. It's going to have to come down to a raw fragging body with 4 HP. To seize it at that range, though, is absolutely brutal. And I think at this stage, Vega are realizing and their options are slim, but Crush actually just runs in there. I'm surprised at that.
Why are you surprised?
True. I shouldn't be at the point, should I?
Yeah, he had the kit as well, so maybe thinking if he could get into the site, maybe cause some of the G2 players to look over in his direction, would allow his teammates to cover him by coming out of their hiding places. 9 to 10, there's that reset. It's not as harsh as G2 would have liked because of the 2 saved weapons. But again, another scenario where you could, it'll be interesting to see what Vega Squadron decides to do with these 2 guns. Do they decide to force up around them, or do they just play conservative and kind of save for the next full buy they can get across all 5 players? And we have our answer. It's a buy up around the weapons.
Which is especially confusing why Crush went in. They'd had an extra M4.
This is a very bold call, and this could have huge, huge consequences down the stretch for Vega.
Oh yeah, this is almost a 1 for 3 or a 3 for 1 round.
Yep.
Here for G2. If they are to pick this one up, they would have a firm lead, you'd expect, if everything goes right for them. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Vega Squadron have pretty much gone as deep into their pocket as they can to withdraw these weapons. Again, mid-presence is completely lacking for Vega. Couldn't really afford to, though. Don't have enough nades or enough firepower to effectively hold it off.
I was going to say, it's hard enough to hold it when you have full nades, much less when you have nothing.
Exactly. Which is why I think maybe this map does edge more towards the T side. Mid is such a huge integral part, and it's very hard to hold for CTs. You have to be a very well-oiled machine to deal with the oncoming terrorists.
Body can just be patient in this position in mid. 45 seconds on the clock. Stack towards this B bomb site. 2 players in the site, and Chopper with the CZ is nearby. They're gonna let Body do a little bit of probing though, get some information. I don't think he's aware of the boost, and he doesn't win that fight. Tapping away with the Thomas Hutchie needs to fall down now though, because he's gonna be a free kill. Doesn't react in time, and the bomb is all the way up highway. It's in Lucky's hands, who got that kill, so they've seen it. Good tag with the Deagle. Lucky needs to be careful here. They come out of A main, but the CZ could stop everything. That's the bomb on the ground with very little time.
Just 12 seconds. Now Chopper can make a move through on highway. They are going to be able to bodyguard Kenny S onto the site for the bomb plant. A 3-on-3 retake, and this is where things quickly turn in favor of G2. Lack of nades, lack of manpower too now. As Shox comes in and doubles down. Tony Black caught in no man's land, and G2 are back to even 10 to 10, but again, the economy is absolutely wrecked for Vega Squadron.
Yes, that was the big risk. And now we're gonna have to see the consequences down the stretch. This is a 3rd tactical timeout, I believe, for Vega. Could be wrong. I know it says 1.
Yeah, I think it's 1 on this half.
Yep.
I think they had 1 or 2 on, because they called 1 in the last round. They called 1 like round 5 or 6. Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it's the 3rd one.
Either way, I mean, we'll see the full implications down the stretch, but I mean, Vega's certainly gonna have to sit this round out.
Deep in debate as to what they should do. But yeah, you definitely expect there to be a severe lack of purchase. You can see the tail of this half is just the 1 round for the CTs.
Body's come alive in this second half. It's Kenny leading the way, and Jax was next up. Body's overtaken Jax, 18 and 10 for him.
Yeah, it's really only that MP9 round on the CT side that you saw him flourish, and now on the T side he's really came alive. I don't think Kenny's had the AWP yet, has he, on the T side?
I don't believe so.
They have that to look forward to as well. Molotov onto sandbags. Again, though, Vega want no part of mid. And the answer has been given, just 2 P250s.
I think that's where Vega's going to have to find their success when they eventually do buy again. I think you need to see them be a little bit more aggressive and try and hold on to mid. Body's been able to get out there for free pretty much every single round. Oh, G2, this is a bold call, stretching, trying to split in the connector towards CT spawn. So many players here, though, so many different angles. Body's going to go down, still 2 more AKs. There's the response, Chopper finds 1. And the trades are good for Vega. That needed to be a kill if Hutchie wanted a chance. Bomb's going to bail out towards the B bomb site, but it won't even matter. Lucky's just going to finish things off there. 11-10, G2 retake the lead.
Very scrappy by G2, though. If there's just another P250 here or there, maybe a Desert Eagle, things could have drastically changed. But woulda, shoulda, coulda, doesn't really matter. 3 Augs, 2 M4s. And again, they have substituted the defuse kits for this extra firepower. Let's see if they actually take mid control. I'm really curious here if they're going to mix things up.
They have the utility for it. They have the smoke they could throw in towards connector. They even have 2 if they want to put 2 of those players in mid. You have the Molotov for the boost. So you could hold on to mid for a decent amount of time and at least just see what G2's reaction would be. But this is also where the mind games come in, because remember, Vega did something very similar in the first half where they were slow and methodical for about 4 rounds, and then they hit that very fast attack towards the A bomb site. So, I mean, if you're willing to run that as Vega, you have to know that it's a possibility for that to be ran against you, and if you dedicate too much manpower to mid, and it's the wrong round, all of a sudden you're blown up by a contact play at A or a contact play at B.
My concern for G2 is, do they have the kind of player like a Chopper, like a Crush, that are going to go in super aggressive and look for those entries? I'm not so sure, and it looks like they are going to slow things down. Vega Squadron have taken a bit more control over mid. They've got a player connector and 1 highway, but here comes the boost anyway. Crush is basically on his own.
Feels like G2 just called a bluff. I mean, that utility is designed to make it feel like there's going to be some kind of a mid presence. Oh, tapping away with the AUG, doesn't complete the kill, and they're already looking up highway. Tony Black's not ready for that. The player in connector couldn't call it out fast enough. He didn't spot them running along that wall. And this is great for G2. Good trade. Crush needs to hold the line. HP is so low on Kenny and Lucky, but it won't matter. Somehow G2 get away with this round, and a great finish from Lucky.
And again, mid is their Achilles heel. Walking up through highway, players getting caught in the back from the side. It was a bit unfortunate to start off with, to be fair. I think it was Shox got dinked in garage by the Orc, and it was so nearly a kill. Could have changed things, but G2 now take a 2-round lead.
It wouldn't have necessarily mattered, because that connector player, because he's taking that fight, he can't actually hear the footsteps of them running along that wall. Remember, 3 players went up boost and just dropped down and ran along the wall and took the fight as fast as possible. That's what caught him off guard more than anything. So even with that death, that highway fight still probably would have gone in the favor of G2.
JR has been decimated, 4 health remaining with his P250, somehow still alive.
Somehow still taking fights.
I'm surprised no one's thrown a HE over there.
I know, it's usually a magnet for HE, isn't it? I don't know how JR got away, but he's basically limping back. Body now. Stray bullet coming through vents. He spots 1. I don't think he realizes Crush is there as well, but Body's done such a great job in this second half of just keeping control of mid, not necessarily taking the fights, not necessarily getting the frags, but just his presence has been really tough for Vega to deal with, and it's been phenomenal for G2 as they work their way and pivot around his location.
Yeah, he's really forced Vega to respect him and respect the prowess that G2 have in mid, and that has been, for me, the main reason why G2 currently are in the lead. Constant mid presence. Kenny can have a quick peek through with the AWP, smoke in his eyes. Still, no players have fallen this round, which is pretty spectacular, all things considered. And with 25 seconds, this is starting to become a little bit sketchy for G2. Yes, they're up against pistols, but at close range, it's really where the pistols do shine. And if you're short on time, you can't check all the angles, but it's going to be all the kills going the way of G2. All the same, and Crush with his CZ, all that remains.
Looking at a 13-10 scoreline. In the favor of G2, looking to be the one French team to walk away with a victory today. And Vega still have not found a winning recipe on the CT side. They have not found the answer on this defense. Now they have an op on JR. Couple of the players starting to lean towards the M4 instead of the AUG as the half goes on. Seen a couple times they've gotten the dinks or they've gotten the 3 bullets to connect and not able to complete the frags with the AUG.
Also good to see them prioritizing more grenades and a kit this time around. They do have the AWP in the hands of JR to try and counteract Kenny S. This could be one of their last chances to muster up a decent buy as well. So a lot of pressure on this round for Vega.
It's kind of surprising, as scrappy and as willing to take fights as we saw them on their T side, that they're not willing to fight for mid whatsoever. This round, the closest thing they have to resistance in middle is Tony Black boosted up in vents. Hutchie's at highway box, but that's not exactly the best 2 positions to have some kind of a crossfire.
May not be required though if G2 continue to press down on the pedal and get into B. Just Shox is away from them in A main. Thought Kenny was going to pull the trigger there and throw the smoke into CT side, and they'd start to get this ball rolling, but they are definitely running scarce on time now. 30 seconds left. Now the smokes start to come in. Now the Molotovs get tossed into B.
There was a 3rd player here earlier, but he's rotated away and he's not coming back. A lot rests on this. That's a nice angle to take some attention away from Tony Black, but the Molotov, he's got to smoke it off. So they now know one's in vents. All that's left is to open up this bomb site. Crush, everything to do. He finds one. It's a blind Jax. There goes Tony Black, though. And there comes the reinforcements. That headshot. Crush, able to handle it so well. And as you mentioned, the time's so low. No chance for recovery in this round for G2, but taking some weapons, taking some economy away is Shox.
And you can see how detrimental that is. A lot of players are in the mid $3,000 range here, Moses. They are not going to have a good buy at all. Some players probably going to have to drop down to FAMAS's UMPs.
I mean, Vega just hasn't been able to get a clean win on the CT side at all this half, have they? Each time they win a round, it feels like there's only 1 player left. There's, you know, they just barely get that defuse earlier. Now, Shox takes out the 2nd player just the last moment. So still missing nades, still missing kits. SMG and FAMAS on the board for the defense in a desperate situation for Vega. They cannot afford to get reset this round.
Looks like mid is the port of call once again. G2 maneuvering their way out, and who else but Body leading the charge. Jax alongside with him.
And again, just no resistance whatsoever in mid. G2 is loving this life.
It's the thing, they try their hand at B execute, doesn't work, go back to mid. Just go back to the default that's been working for us. Tried and tested.
Well, Crush is pushed out of B, and he's actually peering pretty deep. Realizes there's no one there. I think he throws that smoke very far down towards the T side of that entryway towards the B bomb site. That maybe slow G2 down if they reconsider coming back towards B because they think there's aggression. And actually a very weird rotation. Tony Black leaning towards the B bomb site. So is Crush. But it's highway all along.
Flashbang. Clears just in time for JR to spot Jax hopping across, looking for a 2nd, flicks onto Shox. Not quite a 3rd, probably the easiest of the shots, but it's going to be okay for Vega. The bomb's dropped in a horrible spot, out in the open. They're going to have to pass JR's aim, or they can throw a Molotov in and force him to back away. Finally going to get their hands on the bomb, but now Chopper's making a move through on A main side, so they're going to plant this one safe. It's all about where does Body go next. He's been spotted, he's been fragged, and it stands to reason at this stage that Kenny would be somewhere around quad or squeaky. And they're going to go for the defuse, try and get Kenny ass into the open. And they can't deal with it. He has to back away. The bomb will get defused, and Vega live to fight another day.
And this time they finally do it with 3 players surviving. That's got to feel good because you have some weapons, you have the AWP still, and now you can build up some cash behind those 3 guys. Really nice AWPing from JR. You really like to see. Takes his shot, Goes for a very quick shoulder peek, pops his head up just to see if there's anyone pushing him, and goes right back down, waiting for the reload time of that AWP. Timeout for G2 as they want to talk some things out down the stretch. This has been a very cool game of Counter-Strike. Neither of these teams really extending a lead too far where it feels hopeless for the other one. This has been back and forth the whole way through.
I think the biggest lead we've seen is about 3 rounds. 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah, it was at 3-0.
Yeah. So 3-0, 6-3, I think, as well. And then we saw G2 take a bit of a lead in the second half. But Vega have always kept themselves within a chance, within a fighting chance of coming back.
Still have a pretty rough time with that economy. It's still like right on the edge. G2, on the other hand, because of a little bit of a streak earlier, they've still been able to keep up cash on Kenny, especially because he just saved that up last round. Shocks as well at 4,000. So they've got a bit more of a buffer. And now we're seeing a few more bodies from Vega, maybe getting some confidence when they have the cash flow in their favor, when they can afford the utility, when they can continuously buy up some weapons behind. Willing to take a few more fights in mid.
More presence on mid. This does leave B a bit vulnerable. It's just JR here with the AWP. It seems like there's no plan anytime soon for G2 to hop across there. They're feeling their way out onto A main. Jack's going to join the rest of his team momentarily.
This is exactly what Vega wants, though. That stack again towards quad, the boost over the box with the AUG. We'll see if it does any damage.
It's Hodgie. He's had a bit of a rough game so far. His crosshair is poised, ready to strike. The first sign of a pixel. He's looking to take it clean off the shoulders of any oncoming terrorists. And fortunately, for T's, they were jumping up, but he's been so much damage. Nearly picks up a third. Surely his damage has been done. Surely his job has been done. But they're still going to lose players on the approach. G2 is still in this round.
Bombs on the ground. Yeah, it's
all
on the ground. There's no way to recover it at the moment, and those smokes are going to fade pretty quickly.
Shock's have to come back out once again and retrieve the bomb. Molotov just to his left-hand side, making sure no one's on highway, getting each other's way. They're going to be planting on safe. At this stage, they need Chopper to get a move on through highway, join the rest of his team. Out goes Lucky, finds himself one, not quite the second, and now it's down to Shocks. Can he roll back the ears, pull off a sick clutch? Not quite. Gets one, but can't double up and crush. He's going to clutch. We're all even again.
I cannot believe Hutchie got the double kill in A main and then jumped up on top of the boxes to continue the aggression. I guess when you give up the game, when they realize there's 2 players there, you might as well just go fight to the death and let the second person play it smart. They really held their nerve, though, as the Molotovs came in and they started burning. 13-13, all tied up. But again, another round where G2, despite losing, bring it down to just 1 player. So the money, once again, for Vega is depleted. And they've been playing the majority of this second half in this fashion, on a knife's edge, where at any given moment they could just get reset. 3 rounds in a row for Vega.
And this is the last allocated timeout that G2 have. So if it goes any closer, if we get down to the wire, they're going to have none left. They've depleted them all. In terms of their buy, they have more than enough funds to afford a full purchase. So I'm expecting to see some guns come in. Is Shock's going to drop an AWP for Kenny? Trade? No, it's full AK-47s. They could have afforded an AWP, though. Does that maybe suggest that we're going to see a quicker play here? Because typically, surely Kenny just wants to use an AWP whenever he possibly can.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very real possibility. A lot more mobility, a lot more Shocks. That is an interesting running Molotov. We'll see what... Oh my god, it's beautiful. And actually, yeah, they get out there quick. There was a chance that they could have caught Tony Black with the smoke in his hands to put out the flames, but JR has slowed this down with a pick of his own. They know someone is at sandbags, and they do not want to progress in mid. They want to wait for that smoke to clear. Perhaps throw another Molotov.
That's exactly what they're doing. And this time Tony Black doesn't have a smoke, but he's not required to. The Molotov is too shallow. It's not going to bother him at all. Now that could actually bait them into a false sense of security, thinking that's now clear.
No, they know he's there still. That's a great peek from Tony Black, but Jax is just able to land the shot a little bit faster. The dink is down. He's very, very hurt. And Vega doesn't have to worry about the B-bomb site at all with Chopper in this position. The question becomes now, does G2 clear this? Do they hard clear this angle? Do they realize his position? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, that's uncomfortable. Great damage done, but his teammates are so far away. G2's still gonna be able to get into this bomb site before they rotate over. Crush up top. He's got 2 players very low. Lucky's got to cross to the bomb. There's a chance, and there it is. Almost pre-fire. Molotov to follow up as well means that bomb, salvaging it, picking it up by Kenny, still deals a decent amount of damage.
And it's planted in an awkward position as well. It's not planted for Jax. Yes, he can get himself round to Checkers, but he's going to have to dust himself through the smoke first. Jax has done a bunch of damage to JR. This surely still, though, in the hands of Vega Squadron. They've used all of their utility. They're going to have to come out and face Kenny at some point, and he's going to look to deliver. There's the first frag spinning around, gets the second. Oh, and picks up the third as well. G2 take the lead off the back of Kenny's beautiful play with the AK-47.
That's exactly what you want out of your star players. He had that great pistol round in the first half, and relatively quiet. He has got great stats, but that round right there has huge impact, huge implications down the stretch. I think Vega's just out of money. I think this is once again just where they've run dry because they've been grinded down so many times. G2 has been able to lose while still eliminating 4 opponents, and there's just nothing that Vega can fight with. They have to save for the last round.
We were saying Kenny likes to use the AWP whenever he can. Maybe he should use the AK a bit more often after that one.
What's astounding about that clutch is, remember, he kills one up top, and then he goes down towards headshot, and then he's got to spin all the way around as well towards the bomb, like behind him in the bomb site. There was a lot of angles. That's a large area he was able to cover with his crosshair. And we mentioned this just about Greyhound as well in the previous matches. It's just so depressing when you can't even fight for the win, and Vega's just got to give away a massive advantage in this round.
It's not full USPs, but it's not far off. Couple Deagles, P250. Well, 3 Deagles actually, but the Molotovs and flashes securing safe passage into Checkers. Jax gets flashed, able to get a trade, an even trade. Not bad news as far as Vega are concerned, especially as they had the bulk of their defense over on B. But there is Kenny S again. Just one shy of his 30. And he will back away to join the rest of his brothers as they look to push through mid. It does seem like that gateway into winning the round for Vega has came and gone. They are moving towards where both Vega players are, however.
Yeah, this could be interesting. I mean, JR's only got 7 HP, and you know what? Body's already attacking this B bomb site. So he says, you know what, guys, don't even worry about A. Let's just come here. Free site, free plant, free win in the round for G2. I mean, even next round, it's going to be really a real sketchy buy for Vega. They're not going to have everything you could possibly want, so it's not like, you know, they're going to have a fair fight. A really big advantage for G2 to take this map.
And it will be sat on 2 match points. Getting news that Ents won 16-10 in their match.
Easy for them.
That was against Spirits. I think many people have expected them to win that game today. JR, last remaining survivor for Vega Squadron. Wants to take his Deagle into the next round. Obviously want to build on that anyway.
That Kenny S clutch is going to haunt Vega if they don't somehow convert this next round. But look at the money. It's only Hutchie and Chavra have over 4,000. They're the only ones who can afford, you know, utility, the armor, the rifle. And not surprising, Vega take their final timeout of the map, trying to force overtime, trying to figure out a winning plan to get there.
Yeah, that Kenny play really looks like it is going to be the fulcrum point, which, you know, the balance tipped in G2's favor significantly.
Yeah, it's the dagger. That and I think if you go, I mean, just the lack of willingness to really fight for mid, and perhaps you can see why. Even the round where they did put Tony Black at sandbags, remember, he was in a great position. They had one in connector as well, and Jax is still able to get that kill, and they weren't able to hold on to mid despite having a couple players there. It's maybe just something they realize in practice. They're not necessarily a team that likes to defend mid.
So in terms of the purchase, we've got 2 FAMASes, UMP, M4, and JR still on that Desert Eagle. It does mean they have more grenades.
Yep.
And typically in bygone rounds, they were going for firepower over nades, so maybe they finally learnt their lesson.
This is bold from G2. They're just going to go heavy play towards the B bomb site. Here come the utility. Nothing has given up the game yet. Nothing has shown Vega that there's more than just a couple players at B. And all the meanwhile, that boost is taking some time, so it's leaving a lot of possibility for this hit. JR needs to hit that shot. He can't do it. Now he's smoked off. Now they're in trouble. They're going to have a fast flank coming in through Checkers, and actually that's a great frag. Shox is feeling very alone with the bomb. Going to cross over to the site with help of his teammates. But G2 has a lot of pressure being applied to them right now.
A lot of this rests on Tony Black. He's making a move around the backside. He is the flanker. Can he get kills from this? It's just a UMP. Kenny's been very tagged up and does get finished off. And now that keeps G2's attention turned in multiple angles. Lucky's going to get the best of Chopper, but the trades are going back and forth. It's going to go into the hands of Vega, and they will take us to 15-14, able to trade across weapons too and bolster their arsenal of weaponry. It looks like we're going the distance.
Yeah, how is that the cleanest win they've had in this entire half? You come into it with Famas and a UMP, and just the insanity, the desperation of the moment leads you to putting someone in vent, leads you to boosting someone up over to get a fast flank. And you guys, Vega gets out into Checkers before I think G2 even realized what happened, and all of a sudden, there was no way. 2 players in the site, 2 players in Checkers and out towards B main, and there's just no way for those 2 parties of players for G2 to kind of sync up and work together.
So final round of regulation, we'll see both AWPers wielding the sniper rifle, and this is probably the most healthy overall buy we've seen from Vega. They got plenty of nades, all have kits, sidearms, everything you could ask for.
And now they're playing mid, Vince, although they're going for a reverse boost. This is what they did in the previous round, and look at G2. They just back away. They are so ready for this. And even the Molotov tagging Tony Black, that's going to convince them to drop, because that is a sound cue that they don't want to mess with. Now, how do you fall back in this kind of a situation? You don't. You get taken out. That is a big frag, a big follow-up as well for Tony Black. Into a 3-on-3 we go.
He needed Crush to help him out, though. Crush let him hang out to dry. Instead, backs away to the A site. Again, it's JR by his lonesome on B. He's maybe called upon to pull off some slick up shots in the next minute, because the T's are making a move towards him. They do have a smoke, only the 1 and 2 Molotovs. You can expect that one of these may be tossed into Checkers.
This is a big risk from Vega. The 2 A defenders have just frozen. They've gotten reasonably aggressive and then just stopped, which does not leave JR in a great position, but they have a lot of faith in their AWPer.
Rightfully so. He's been one of their standout players. Perfect timing. And now they know exactly where G2 are. These 2 A defenders are going to go over here as soon as they possibly can. JR's going to try and hold the line for dear life. Misses out on the flick. And it's going to all come down to a 2-on-2. Hutchie Crush versus Shox and Lucky.
That's an aggressive play for JR. Could not buy enough time. They've got to wait for that smoke to fade. 1 flashbang to work with. Although for the moment, Lucky is pretty spread out from Shox. And this is a nice reposition from Shox as well. Let him think there's someone in the bomb site. Grab a new angle.
They could actually double stack this one. Shox is going to get traded out by Crush. And he doesn't even get tagged that hard either. He's got himself a kit, but he's going to have to just go straight in for this one because time is scarce. Lucky is waiting, pondering. The bomb is planted for him, lands the headshot, and G2 get over the finish line. 16-14. And Vega, that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow.
That is a very cool T-side out of G2. They did a great job taking control of mid. There was nothing Vega could do, even when they put bodies there. Just not able to accomplish it. Great map from Kenny. I think he got to his 30 kills, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge confidence boost going forward. Kenny actually performed really well. Sure, on the CT side, he was a little bit hit or miss. That obviously sick pistol round, but on T side, he really came alive.
I like the amount of creative utility, that like running smoke and Molotovs and everything that we saw Shox doing early on towards mid. Either way, great win for G2. They're the French team to take a victory out of day 1, or at least round 1. We're going to head to a break. When we come back, we'll get the next match going for you.
Think he can't capture a clutch in full resolution while streaming the play to the world? Watch this. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Prepare for combat. Go forth and conquer.